Hi, Sheila.
Hi.
Hi there. I just think Trump is very, very dangerous. But more than him, I think Netanyahu is so very dangerous as well. And for Trump to be so gullible, as it were, or to go through with bombing a state in this way.
So you don't believe Benjamin Netanyahu when he says that Donald Trump is not a man to be pushed about?
No, I don't think so. I think he, talked him round, or I don't know how, he compromised him or whatever, but Trump, the kind of things that he says, like what he was saying to the Japan, president the other day as well. It just...
The Pearl Harbor comment.
Yeah, he's just reckless. You see, the way he just goes on a whim. And then, we're speaking about it, sitting more cosily in Great Britain, all safe and sound, but, thousands of miles away, people have been killed in Iran.
I'm well aware of it. I mean, we're not totally safe. We're clearly not facing what the people in the Middle East are facing. Of course we're not. But sometimes we do, because of terrorism. And, we see arrests, and we don't know exactly what the truth of that story is yet, the facts of that story are yet, but we see arrests and other incursions into our nuclear sites. It's nervous times here too. We can't be too relaxed, I don't think.
No, you're right. But the thing is that Iran has never posed a threat. They weren't a threat now.
That's not true.
And they've never...
They actively pose a threat. Whether it's a nuclear threat.
We know there was no nuclear threat. We know now that there was a British official in the meeting, along with the Omani representative as well, who said that, the talks were going well, they had agreed, they had come to an agreement, and then Israel...
And America.
And America, well, I don't know, they say different things. They decide to attack, and what we hear is Israel were pushing this. Because
they were clearly working together, weren't they, at the beginning of this war? America and Israel clearly working together. Thank you, which isn't anything surprising. Neela, thank you. David is called from Cheltenham. Hello, David.
Good afternoon, Jill. Thank you for taking my call.
Pleasure.
Eventually. Better late than never, I suppose.
Thank you for waiting.
Anyway, I was going to say, Trump is bad enough, but the people around him, that's a disappointing thing. How they back him up, I can't bear it. All the people around him, Pete Hegseth and all these idiots he's got surrounding him now, they just think he's God or something. He's not. He's a demented lunatic.
What is it about him, do you think, that gets so much support in the States?
I don't know. It's beyond me. I can't imagine why any intelligent person would like Trump. I just don't get it.
Is it possible that to take on the likes of the Ayatollahs, you need to be an unusual leader yourself?
No, I don't think so. I think you need to be a sensible person and much younger. Nobody should be president, and they should stand in the first time at 70 years old. 2 terms in 78, that's it. You should finish. Nobody 80, or nearly 80, whatever he is, should be president of America. All the people of the free world is crazy. The whole thing's mad.
Well, you're obviously not a fan.
I'm not a fan, no.
Never have been?
Never have been. I've seen through him from the word go. His niece has got it right.
His niece Mary, when she wrote the book about him?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
He's a fake.
He's a fake, you're saying?
Yep,
okay.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Thank you very much, David, for your call. Sorry you had to wait. David?
Thanks for taking my call.
Pleasure.
So I had a bit of faith in him. I thought he might keep to his principles of being an anti-war president. And I know a lot of people in the US voted for him to be anti-war. And I don't consider myself right-wing, but I know there's a lot of people like Tucker Carlson, other in the MAGA movement who really wanted him to not to stay out of other countries, and they're deeply disappointed. And I thought he might be able to...
I think they're more than disappointed, aren't they? I think many of them are enraged that he's done it.
They are. And I think a notable thing recently was the Joe Kent resignation.
Yeah.
And I think I've got a theory, and I think we can't. If you notice in Joe Kent's resignation, he mentioned about the powerful Israel lobby that he believes he's being kind of coerced by, and I think that's something to really consider. My theory is that he's probably compromised in some way by the Epstein files, and then maybe Israel have something on him. And because I believe he doesn't want to actually be involved in this war, but he seems to be having his arm twisted in some way or another.
There's no evidence for that, though, is there?
Well, there actually is. There's, it was the Epstein files.
No, I mean, there's no evidence. There's no evidence of him having his arm twisted.
Well, a lot of people in the US who were kind of close to him, again, like Joe Kent, seem to believe that he is being coerced by the Israel lobby. So.
What if it's not coerced? What if it's convinced? What if, there's no question that Netanyahu has been on a lobbying exercise back and forth to America in the last, since Trump became president again, because he clearly has a better relationship with him than the previous presidents did. So there's no question of that. But all countries do that in lots of different ways, don't they?
Yeah, but it seems to be, I don't know, a very powerful thing to be able to convince the leader of the most powerful country in the world to do something that's so deeply unpopular with your own nation. Do you know what I mean?
I do. It is very unpopular. But then again, we had a caller earlier on, I thought, made a really important point that he doesn't give a stuff about the elections in November, the midterm elections, and he's not going to be president again. And he thinks this could be the thing that makes him a consequential president.
It could be very well. It could be that he can maybe just call off the elections because they're at war. But
I doubt that will happen. They've done elections during war before.
Yeah. That's why I think it's just. I don't know. It's very. I don't know where. I don't think there's much choice for Americans.
No, it's very. And also, it's a confusing picture because I definitely want the Iranian regime reduced and destroyed, and by that I mean the regime. I'm not talking about the individuals in it. I just think it'll probably be both things, but it needs to go, or it needs to accept that its grip on Iran is over. It's not yet over, but somehow both the people of Iran who want them gone and their outside supporters need to make sure it happens. I think that's a legitimate aim. Other people might disagree with me.
Do you think it should come at the expense of like thousands of people, and potentially tens of thousands of people now being killed?
They've already been killed by the interior. No, and it's all. No, I mean, as ever, war is awful. I'm not gleeful or gung ho about this at all. If it had been possible for the people of Iran to overturn that regime, they would have done it. But they've got such a vicious grip on them, they can't.
But I would say also, what moral authority does Israel and the US have to come and change the regime? Like, if you look at their record, you could say arguably they have a much worse record than Iran. If you look at the 70,000 children that Israel have killed recently.
Well, I mentioned
the act of the US was to drop a bomb on an all-girls school.
They haven't yet accepted it, have they? But it does look as though that's the case.
I think, the New York Times done a report, and they done an investigation. I think it's pretty big.
So did other broadcasters. Yeah, I suspect it's clear-cut too, but I still think, let's find out. But if we go back to the years leading up to our own actual involvement in the Second World War, 1939, for years before then, Churchill and others were warning of the danger of this Hitler fella in Germany and his activities and his ambitions, and they were poo-pooed at the time. And, you could argue that if we'd gone sooner against Hitler, we could have avoided millions of deaths in Europe and arguably even the Holocaust. But we didn't. We waited until it was acute.
Can I just say one more thing before I go? I think it's really, really important that that the UK's involvement in this war. I think in the media, I'm listening, and it sounds like we are not involved at all. But if you look at exactly, because the refueling that's happened in Fairford, it seems to be, even though Starmer has called this war illegal, I believe he has, we are still allowing these bombers that are essentially going and bombing civilians to take off at Fairford, and it does make us an important. And I think people need to be really, campaigning against that as hard as possible, not only because it's very immoral that what's happening in Iran, it's because it makes us a target, a legitimate target in Iran's view, because why are we taking part in the war? It's going to be making more. It's going to be making the energy a lot more expensive for people. All our tax that's going to be paying, towards this war. While you're
right about Fairford and the RAF. Fairford being used. The US bombers are being supported by UK infrastructure in Fairford. But as I understand it, and what the government has said, is that they're only being approved for clear defensive operation against Iran. So protecting British and allied interests, not attacking Iran because of their own strategic reasons.
I think that's a lot like spin. Yeah, I've seen the bombs are being dropped on Tehran at the minute, and these are kind of civilian areas.
I know, I get that, but you're talking about whether the UK is facilitating the dropping of those bombs, and it insists it isn't.
I know, but I guess the UK doesn't have a good track record of its military operations abroad. If you look at for example, they've been helping Israel essentially carry out what I believe, and a lot of experts believe, a genocide. So we don't have in
not proven. Important to say.
I know you have to say that, but
I also think it. Coincidentally, God, you can't minimise the hideousness of what's gone on over the last 3 years, both in Israel and Gaza and the West Bank. We can't forget events in the West Bank either. That's a situation that's burgeoning out of control as well, and it's all horrendous. Which is why I suppose there are two distinct arguments for attacking Iran, aren't there? One, to weaken the terrorism that was taking place in the Middle East. The other, too dangerous to do that and blow the whole region up. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Thanks, Dan, for your call. Dan, hello, Joshua.
Hi there, Sheila. So I think that there's no good guys in this war. It's one of those quite peculiar situations in which all of the parties involved are, I would say, objectively bad guys. So it really comes down to which side of the fence if you're pro-Israel, if you're pro-Israel and pro-Trump, you're obviously going to come down on that side of the fence. Would you agree with that?
Well, I don't know. Some people can view it with a bit more nuance than that, I think.
No, I don't think there is any more nuance. I think that's it. Like, there is no, what more nuance is there? If you're pro-Israel and anti the Iranian regime, then of course you're going to be pro what's happening.
Well, no, not necessarily. You could be. I'm anti-Iranian regime. I'd like to see that regime fall.
So would I.
I'm not convinced that this is the way to do it.
I agree. And what I was going to say is the reason why.
So that's the nuance, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I actually agree with you on that very specific thing. I think Trump has gone into it on the back of Netanyahu. Marco Rubio confirmed that pretty much very early on. But also as well, Trump was given $230 million by AIPAC. A lot of it by Miriam Adelson, what people term the pro-Israel lobby. But I like to go a little bit more into detail. Like, you can actually see who these people are. You can see the money that they were given. Why did they give him that money? What did they want in return for that money? Because I think we all broadly agree that nobody gives politicians money for free. So what did the Israel lobby, AIPAC, Miriam Adelson, what did they give him that money for?
Well, it's a very big organisation, isn't it? AIPAC, it stands for Asia Pacific, I think, doesn't it? It's a big business and geographical region. It's not
I don't think it does. I think that's the name of the pro-Israel lobby in America.
Am I confusing it with a different AIPAC?
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about, but this is specifically the pro-Israel lobby. I know that term is used by many people to mean different things.
So you think it's literally just about making money?
No, I think it's about he's been given money by a massive amount of money from the pro-Israel lobby group, and he is fulfilling their desires. Miriam.
Okay. That's borderline Jews are to blame for everything, but I'll leave it there. Joshua, thank you very much, Martin. Martin in Wandsworth. Let's hear from David in Bayswater before we go to New South Wales.
Hi, Sheila. Great to speak to you. So very quickly, I think the populism represented by Trump and people like Farage can't be dismissed as just the sounds of madmen. It actually represents quite a large section of the population, so we have to try to understand where it's coming from and not just dismiss it. And I think that they need to be listened to and not just dismissed.
Well, I mean, in a way, that's what we're doing, isn't it? We're trying to get to the bottom of whether this is a strong, unusual, strange, sometimes funny man, or whether he's a dangerous man.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think we also need to seek solutions as to why we have these kind of prejudicial views becoming more popularized in society, the kind of phobias that he represents, the hatred he represents. It's unhealthy for society.
But is hatred what's driving him here? I'm not sure it is.
Well, I think he sees the world in a very good and evil point of view, and I think it's partly hatred. And Sheila, just one point I wanted to make. I think one thing that no one ever mentioned is Jared Kushner, who was sent to the Middle East as his envoy,
his son-in-law,
and is also on the board of PETA. He's Jewish, and so is Steve. What's his name? Yeah. They're both Jewish. How can you have people? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm saying how can you have people like that have an active involvement in the whole thing? You know, they have that connection. They're not going to be objective. They're always going to be on the side of Israel.
Well, no, David. No. They may be on the side of Israel's existence. It doesn't mean they're going to agree with everything that Benjamin Netanyahu or Witkoff or Kushner say. I mean, we really mustn't lump people. We've seen it this week with Nick Timothy and Muslims praying. We're hearing that. We can't just lump people together and say, he's a Jew, therefore. He's a Muslim, therefore. It's just not how it works, is it? It may work that way in some individuals, but just forget the rest of the world. Just look internally at Israel's politics. It's very clear that all Jews, all Israelis do not think alike politically. I think we can do better than that. David, thank you. David in Bay.